Okay, so I got a light up here. Got an extension cord, goes to the shop, and then here's the tripod. And now this light here came from my other property, and the guy had he worked at the sawmill, so he had a supply of these. Not that many, I think 2 or 3. And these are half heater. If I put my hand there, it's like it's in the sun. So these things release a lot of release some radiation. So you wouldn't want to this here is like a mini sun light bulb. But I mean, look at how much light it lights up the whole trailer. So yeah. And then the tripod's up here too. There you go, and then I can just kind of film that. I was gonna take it down there, but you can see everything here anyway. If I put it there, it's not as good. And there's all the yearlings. Those are bigger calves that are 1-year-olds. They'll be, I think, adults next year. I want to talk about tools I make. I think this is good for people to know. I made this tool out of the end of a leaf spring. And when you cut logs, like you can see, when you cut them like that, they're right beside each other. And so you can't really grab them unless you grab them longwise. And then this thing, since that's a leaf spring, this is very strong metal. You can solid welded. And so what I do is I stab this in between them. And then you can just pull up and it'll spread them apart. And then I can get my hand in there and pick them up. And you can make one of these as well. This is not my design. I encourage people to make their own tools, because like the newer hammers that have fiberglass handles, they're garbage. They just fall apart. Me and my uncle are kind of laughing at how he bought these new hammers and they just fell apart like crap. They were junk. So yeah, this is, it's a metal handle tool, but I have a glove on so it's not cold. And then you just kind of, that's a useful tool. It's like a good pick as well. And that's just the end of a car leaf spring. And then I just solid welded just a random scrap pipe I found. It's a useful tool. I encourage people to make these. My friend in Victoria. A lot of my friends are adults, which is weird. But he gave me that saw blade and I just found this. It was bent like that, but I bent it more and then drilled a hole in it. Or actually, it may have even already had a hole in it. But yeah, that's a good saw right there. And that'll never break. This will, no wooden handle. It's strong. It's not really loose at all. You see, that's tightly there. The tube is kind of tightly gripping the blade. That's a tool I made. And then this one, I made this quite a few years ago. I made this when I was like 8 or something. I made this. And that can be a better design, but that's a pretty useful little pick. And then this one I made more recently. I made that this year. I think it looks like a hammer. You can put this over the post or rebar. And you just, and then you can hold the post up and either have someone else hammer it, or you can hold this and hammer it yourself. And then you can, like if you got a piece of rebar, you can put the rebar in the ground and then have this to support the top of it while you hit it. A bunch of old broken tools here. Broken ratchets and worn out pipe wrenches. Like this here is a pipe wrench. It's worn out. It might have been used too hard or something. And then this thing is one of those wire snippers. Ratchet down here. See what happens. And this here, don't buy this particular type. These are garbage. This one, they wear out in no time. They're cheapies, and that's, I can solid weld that and use that for something. That's why it's here. Like if you got 2 pieces of steel, and let's say they're like that, and they're 2 big pieces of steel on a machine that you're welding. So if they're like that, see how there's a gap there. So what this tool is for is you weld it on this piece, weld it on the bottom, and then you just turn the threads and it'll push it together. So that's what it does, and then this part would be welded. And I don't know if they make these in the store. I don't think they do. Where is it? This little loopy thing, that's too weak, and I think that's even for this pin, and they just fall right out. They're weak. You can grab them, but if you try to hammer them, or if you bump it, they just fall out. So, it's not a very good design. I mean, yeah, these are light duty, but every single pin needs to, like every pin that's like a tractor hitch pin or a 3-point hitch pin should have, welded to it. And I've done that lots of times. Like a bunch of these red pins, like this, I welded that. That's a piece of scrap. I just welded that onto a regular pin. And some of them are actually, like this one, that's a really good example. And then when you have a really strong chain link like that, if you have like rebar, you can put a pipe on this part, and you can actually use this as a rebar bending tool as well. And this one, I made this for something, and it was kind of dumb. I put like 3 hours into work on this, and then I decided I got a better idea. And instead of scrapping that, I just kept it. And this can be used, but I just haven't found a purpose for it yet. And then here's, like these here are just regular, these factory-built pins, but then I welded the, the factory should be doing that. They should just be welding chain links on there. Here is all covered up, and then this light, I think the tripod will be fine here overnight, doesn't matter. The plan is to get that wood done tomorrow. I think what we'll do is we'll just throw it in there, and we'll worry about splitting it later, and then we'll just go get another load, but everything's covered up. And unplug this light in the shop, and picking the phone in. This thing can stay here overnight, and then yeah, and we can keep cutting it up tomorrow. we have been using are these two 455 chainsaws. This one, I think, is the 2019. I don't see the year on it right now, but 455 Rancher. Now, we have a parts 455 Rancher in there, in the shop there. And a tree fell on this one, kind of right beside it. It just kind of fell like that, and then it broke. It broke this. It kind of half broke the top here. And actually, you know how there's like rings around the outside of an air-cooled engine? It bent some of those down a little bit, but it's fine. And it also broke this thing. But it was revivable. So I took all those parts off of the old 455 Rancher, which I think that one's an earlier 2000. That's like a 2006 or a 12. And then this year is 2002. No, it's 2022. Yeah. I think I'm in the early 2000s still. Because that was before I was even born. I'm only 16. This is the same exact saw. This one's a 2022. Brand new. We buy them at, it's a chainsaw place. They supply these. And these are good saws. They last. This one, I don't know how, it's not that old. I hope it doesn't just die on me, but yeah, these ones last I would say about 12 or 13 years. I mean, they do lots of work. All that bucking really puts hours into them. But now that there's two, like this one run out of fuel, and then I just use the other one, or if this one gets dull, I just take the other one out, and then get the job done. And now we got to do this all over again. But the fun part is loading. And yeah, we'll clear the sawdust off. Load the trailer out there one more time, well, not one more time. We'll be getting more than one, but I'm going to load it, as much as I can. My uncle loaded the load that we had. It wasn't that much, but we didn't have a lot of time that day, and probably just, it takes extra time to load it higher. Maybe we should buy online, used, like a big old logging saw with a bar about this much longer. And then you can always there's one old bar like that length, it still works. You can always put that on a bigger powered saw, and then you can still buck the same amount of wood faster. Or if you're doing like 3 or 4, to have a bigger saw with a slightly longer bar, that would get the job done a lot faster. I wonder what the year. Yeah, 2019. That's a 2019. This one is 2021. Why does that say 2021? I think this was made in the factory 2021, but I know we bought it this year. And let's go have a look at this old one. See the year on that one. So this here is the box. This one is what's this? It's a 435. We have another 435. This one, the main seal in it is bad, so it still runs. I think I'll put this together for this kind of a saw you can use for if you're quadding and you have like one big tree that you need to cut. This one can still do little jobs. So this here is the 455 I grew up with. I think my uncle had another one that had a problem. He gave it to someone. What's the date on this one? Oh, it's 2016. Yeah, it's not as old as I was expecting. Let's see. Let's see right there. 2016. Huh. I thought that was older than that. But that might be yeah, this one still runs. The reason we bought the 2019 one is because, what was that one? Yeah, that was the 2019. The reason we bought the 2019 was because this one, the engine has a problem. And we took it to the store that we bought it from. My uncle did, and they said this is not worth fixing. But it ran for 3 or 4 years after they said that, so I don't know. I mean, if I get more parts for it, it'd be worth fixing, and it'd still be a good machine. And there's a few other little problems on it, like I had to put a kill switch from a weed whacker on there. But yeah, I think this one is revivable. It just needs, like a handle, and I might put the work into fixing this one when we buy some parts for it. 435. This is, what year is this one? I think the other 435 is a 2019 as well. You probably can't see it on camera, but I'm trying to find the date. This one is a 2020. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, this one's a new one. And this here is a junk saw. This one still runs, but this has no power at all. You can barely cut through anything. If that's the date, 1995. But yeah, this one, I kind of wanted to, replace the engine, the cylinder and the cylinder wall, or whatever they call that. And the chain brake fell off. It's broken. But I don't ever use that. I use that, in a video once where I cut the side of that beam to put the plug in. And this saw, it's the same thing. It's the kind of thing where you can carry it on a quad, and you can do little jobs with it as like a last resort. Like if you're going on a trail or something, you don't expect there to be a tree, then you can bring one of those saws.